Rookie wide receivers Jordyn Tyson and Makai Lemon are dealing with injuries that could really derail their first season in the NFL, and their teams desperately need them to get back to full health ASAP.
Locked On NFL Big Board with Michelle Magdziuk is here to bring the lists, rankings, and analysis that true NFL fans crave all year long. From power rankings and draft prospects to top players and best bets, the Data Queen has you covered. Brought to you by Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome into the Locked On NFL Big Board. I'm your host, Michelle Magdziuk. On today's episode, I'm going to discuss and rank the most impactful recent offensive injuries going around the NFL. We have both Luther Burden and Breece Hall dealing with this pesky groin injury. Alec Pierce is still not back at practice, so the Colts had to go and sign old man Keenan Allen. And to start us off at the top, we have lots of rookies dealing with injuries that could derail their first season in the NFL. I want to let you all know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer this MLB season. All right, the number one biggest impactful offensive injury going around right now, it's Saints rookie wide receiver Jordyn Tyson. He's expected to miss around 2 months after suffering a hamstring injury in practice last week. And we're not certain just yet that surgery's ruled out. And if that ends up being the case, if he gets a second opinion and the doctor says, you should just shut down for the year, get surgery, that would be your best bet. We might not even get to see him until next year. He could miss his entire rookie season. Let's hope that doesn't happen. It's unfortunate if they do have to, be without him for the first month and a half of the regular season, but better than nothing. But the Saints knew what they were doing when, they knew the risks when they drafted Jordyn Tyson 8th overall in this draft. He missed a lot of games in college, and recently he's missed a lot of time due to hamstring injuries. So he missed his final 3 games at Arizona State because of a hamstring injury he suffered in October of 2025. And then that hamstring injury derailed him and sidelined him for most of the draft process. He wasn't really able to be out there and showing teams what he can do out on the field because of that hamstring injury still. Prior to that, in 2024, in his 3rd season in college, he broke his left collarbone, which forced him to miss the Big 12 championship and ASU's playoff game versus Texas. A couple years prior to that, in 2022, his first year in college at Colorado, he tore his ACL, MCL, and PCL, which caused him to miss the ending of his rookie year at Colorado and then pretty much sidelined him his entire first year at Arizona State in that 2023 season. So it's been consistent injuries throughout Jordyn Tyson's entire college career. So they shouldn't be too shocked he's dealing with a hamstring injury right now or dealing with any injury, right? It's just unfortunate because there's so much hope and promise for Jordyn Tyson. He has what you need to be a great wide receiver. At least it looks like it on film and on paper. I mean, just looking at the size of him, 6'2", 203 pounds. He has a 75-inch wingspan. He is able to create great separation out on the field. He understands the game. The numbers he put up those last 2 years at Arizona State were fantastic. It was 86.3 receiving yards per game he averaged from 2024 to 2025. That was second most in the FBS among guys to play at least 15 games, behind only Jeremiyah Smith, who we know is going to be a top draft pick in next year's draft unless something crazy happens. So Jordyn Tyson has everything he needs. You understand why they took him 8th overall, and they needed him. Outside of Chris Olave, they don't have much at all. It's going to be Devon Bailey as their wide receiver too, with Tyson missing some time, and Juwan Johnson is going to have to step back up like he did last year, and he had 102 targets last year. I don't think they wanted that to be the plan. I think that was the whole point of drafting a wide receiver early, so Juwan Johnson didn't have to get as much workload, but it looks like he will be again. Now, my second most impactful injury, it's another rookie wide receiver, and it's Makai Lemon. He has not been at practice since August 3rd when he suffered a hamstring injury. It does seem like he's getting closer to coming back. He has been sprinting on the sidelines at practice, using the jug machines, but it's not ideal that he's been gone for so long, especially considering that not only has he missed the last couple of weeks at training camp, he also missed most of the spring practices, also with a hamstring injury. So it's a reoccurring hamstring injury. I almost would rather him not push himself back and maybe just wait till week 1 to get out there to make sure this hamstring injury can be fully recovered. However, at the same time, being a rookie and trying to learn the playbook and get the connection with your quarterback, these practices are extremely, extremely important for rookies. So if he does, kind of play it slow and doesn't get back out there because he's trying to make sure this injury is completely recovered, that could also slow him, keep his rookie season from starting off too hot. They do have some veterans on this roster, and Dontavian Wicks and Marquise Brown and even Elijah Moore. Like, these players aren't better than Makai Lemon, in my opinion, but they might be more trusted by the coaches going into the season because they're just veteran players, and it's hard to trust a rookie when you haven't even really got to see him on the field much. And then there's also Devonta Smith, who has also not practiced since August 4th. He also started missing practice right around when Makai Lemon did with a hamstring injury. I will say, like, the Devonta Smith one isn't as big of a deal that he's not at practice because, he's already has the connection with Jalen Hurts for how many years now. However, the Eagles are going to have a new offense this year. They have a new offensive coordinator in Sean Mannion. You would like Devonta Smith. You would like Makai Lemon to be out there to learn this offense. And the Eagles this is getting a little sketchy right now. They need to get back. They need to get back healthy. And if these guys are by week 1, then fine. I think everything will be okay. They have some depth there, like I said, with Wicks and Hollywood Brown. But I'll be keeping an eye on how long Makai Lemon's out. And if he does return to practice soon, I'm going to be holding my breath that hamstring will hold up and he will not re-injure it again. Because if that happens, they might just have to shut him down for a long time into his rookie season. Unfortunately, my number 3 guy is also a rookie that we are very excited to see play, and that's a Cardinals rookie running back, Jeremiyah Love, drafted number 3 overall, and he's expected to miss the rest of the preseason with a high ankle sprain, and maybe he has enough time to be back by week 1 or early in the season if he does have to miss week 1, but high ankle sprains can linger. They can take a while to get back. And then also, once players come back from high ankle sprains, normally their production and efficiency are pretty slow to get going, and the production struggles after returning from a high ankle sprain. So, I mean, it wasn't the smartest, in my opinion, for new head coach Mike LaFleur to play this 3rd overall player that they saw be so amazing in college, and that's why they took him 3rd overall. To give him so much playing time in the first preseason game because you wanted to see what he could do seems silly. And he's going to pay for that because after, getting 13 touches, that 14th touch in the preseason game was what did him in. That's when he suffered the injury. I do expect the Cardinals to be playing Tyler Algier and giving him a lot of work early on. Even if Love is ready to go by week 1, I think they're going to slowly get him more involved coming off this high ankle sprain. And then James Conner is still not fully healthy and practicing, so have to see what's going on there. But Tyler Algier with Conner and Love both sidelined, he could be a big, big piece of this offense early on in the season. And the Cardinals have just had the injury bug to their draft class this year. Their 2nd-round pick, Chase Besantis, he tore his MCL in training camp. He's going to miss the entire rookie season. He was supposed to be the Cardinals' starting guard or center in his rookie year. They are dealing with a rib injury to the 3rd-round pick, quarterback Carson Beck. Now, right now, he's either backup or 3rd-string quarterback, so not too big of a deal. He should be plenty ready to go by the season. But then also their 4th-round pick, defensive tackle Caleb Proctor. He's out for the year with a torn meniscus. So not very good injury luck here for the Cardinals, who desperately need these young guys to perform and perform well right off the gate because their roster is kind of lacking overall from their veterans that they have there. All right, I'm going to get to some more injuries. We have a couple wide receiver injuries that are worrisome. Emeka Egbuka dealing with a toe sprain in the Buccaneers desperately need him out on that field in week 1, but Todd Bowles doesn't know if he's going to be there. That's up next on the Locked On NFL Big Board, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On at Saints podcast, and today's Locked On episode is brought to you by our friends at Basque and Lather. I've been using Basque and Lather's all-natural, 100% organic hair care products for my beard for a couple of years now, and it's been a lifesaver because I used to have some bad beard care habits. I'm talking over-the-counter shampoo and the beard type stuff that created this brittle, scratchy, and uncomfortable beard that I just had to wear around all the time. But now the game done changed. Thanks to Basque and Lather, I got their beard care starter kit, which gave me shampoo, conditioner, oil balm, and their hair growth stimulator formula as well. And now my beard is full. It's soft but strong, and the confidence is on 10, and it's all thanks to Basque and Lather. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Basque and Lather. Go to baskeandlatherco.com and use the promo code LOCKEDON for 20% off. That's 20% off at baskeandlatherco.com. Code Locked On.
Coming in at number 4, most concerning offensive injury to happen in training camp is Emeka Egbuka, the Buccaneers' second-year wide receiver. He's dealing with a toe sprain, and according to Todd Bowles, it's anywhere from day to day to week to not even sure if Egbuka will be ready for week 1. So not really clear here how serious this toe injury is. It is right now, it looks to be a low-level turf toe injury, but we have to get more information on that. This injury happened on August 12th, a joint practice with the Jets. So for Todd Bowles to come out and say, basically a week later that he doesn't know if Egbuka will be ready by week 1, despite him saying he's day-to-day or week-to-week, that is concerning. And the Buccaneers are really counting on Egbuka to take that huge second-year leap. Mike Evans left, right? Either they let him leave or he wanted to leave. Either one. Mike Evans is not on the team. And you have Chris Godwin aging. You do have a couple young guys that you can be excited about in Jalen McMillan and Tez Johnson and Ted Hurst, but no one more clear to be the wide receiver 1 than Emeka Egbuka. And what he showed to start his career was truly a game-changing player, an elite wide receiver 1, averaging nearly 90 receiving yards per game, having 5 receiving touchdowns over those first 5 games. The issue is we've already seen Egbuka try to play through injury. Now, a different injury. It was hamstring, right? It was a hamstring injury. That happened in week 6. His production immediately dropped down. He played through the injury, but he probably shouldn't have. It was a brutal rest of the year for his rookie season with that injury. I don't know if that would be the same if he tried to play through this toe injury. It's a completely different situation here. But I will say Baker Mayfield's stats too completely dropped off once he no longer could have that strong connection with Emeka Egbuka. Weeks 1 through 6, this Buccaneers team was averaging 27.5 points per game. They had a 5-1 record. Baker's stats were off the wall with 257 passing yards per game, 12 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception, 109 pass rating over those first 6 weeks. Well, then Emeka gets hurt. Week 7 on, the rest of the year, the Buccaneers go 3-8 record, 19.5 points per game they average. Baker's stats plummet, 195.8 passing yards per game, 6.2 yards per attempt. That's down from 7.9 over the first 6 weeks. Only had 14 passing touchdowns over those 11 games, 10 interceptions, and an 80 passer rating. So he needs Emeka Egbuka out there. I know there's also other injuries with Mike Evans last year, and Jalen McMillan was out, and some injuries along the offensive line to also hinder Baker's stats, as well as all of his injuries he was dealing with. It wasn't just that Egbuka was injured, but this is a very concerning one. The team is also already dealing with injuries to Tez Johnson, to their starting tight end, K-Dot, and I don't know when they're going to return. Jalen McMillan just got back to practice after missing a week of practice with a leg injury. This offense needs to stay healthy. They're planning on starting Baker Mayfield this weekend in the preseason. I think that's kind of crazy. You got to keep him healthy, but we'll see if he can build a connection with some of the young guys that are able to play this weekend. Number 5 for my most concerning offensive injury right now, it's Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce. He's still not back at practice. He is now expected to miss all preseason. He does say he'll be back week 1. But okay, I mean, you got that big contract. You're expected to play a new role. And then the team also had a scare with their other starting wide receiver, Josh Downs, exiting practice with an upper body injury a couple of days ago, which left the team really, really weak at wide receiver. I mean, it was already so weak with Alec Pierce out. Even if Alec Pierce were there and Josh Downs, that's already a below average wide receiver core. Take out Pierce, and if Josh Downs can't stay fully healthy, you're leaving Daniel Jones with no wide receivers there that are reliable. So the team had to go out and sign Keenan Allen yesterday. They give him a 1-year deal, and he's 34 years old. He just turned 34 years old. He's entering his 14th NFL season. He did lead the Chargers last year with 81 receptions, but those 81 receptions turned into just 777 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. He averaged a career low 45.7 receiving yards per game last year. He averaged 9.6 yards per reception last year. That was the fewest in the NFL among all wide receivers with at least 100 targets. But to be fair, Michael Pittman Jr. was second fewest on that list at 9.8 yards per reception. It was Keenan Allen and Michael Pittman as the only wide receivers averaging under 10 yards per reception last year among guys with at least 100 targets. And Keenan Allen will likely be taking over that Michael Pittman role. So maybe it won't be all too different. And interestingly, that might help. This signing might help Alec Pierce. Maybe he could just stay in the role that he's been good at, right? That he's used to. He already has a connection with Daniel Jones. He knows that role. He could just be that great deep threat. And then Keenan Allen could be more of the volume target guy, the shorter target guy. And, that was one of my bigger concerns with Alec Pierce being out. Like, okay, this new role, he needs time to learn it and needs time to be out there. Daniel Jones and him need time to connect on these other routes. But with Keenan Allen there, maybe their goal is just to say, okay, Alec Pierce, you stay in your role this year, at least to start the year. And maybe we can get you more involved as the season goes on, or we just wait till next year altogether to make you the true wide receiver one that's getting, 120 plus targets in any given season. At number 6 is Bears wide receiver Luther Burden III, second-year guy coming in. They drafted him in the second round last year. Didn't do all too much as a rookie, but there was a lot of competition there. It's DJ Moore and Rome Odunze and Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet and all that, right? Well, they move on from DJ Moore. Luther Burden is supposed to get a big uptick of snaps and targets this year in Ben Johnson's offense that just loves to utilize the slot. Unfortunately, Burden has been out since August 9th with a groin injury, and he's not expected to return during the preseason, but the Bears are still optimistic that he'll be ready to go for week 1. But something about a groin injury, they just seem to really bother a player all season long once they sustain one. Maybe this recovery time they're giving him of all of August and the beginning of September will, keep him from re-injuring the groin. Luther Burden does have a lot of hype and a lot of expectations on him this year. It's not ideal for him to be going in coming off a groin injury. And with them letting DJ Moore go, already Khalif Raymond is going to be their wide receiver 3, the Bears wide receiver 3 this year. So if Burden or Odunze has to miss any time, if they aren't healthy, that's going to get really ugly in the wide receiver room. They can't really afford either of those guys to be injured. Now, Colston Loveland is going to be great, in my opinion. He could be the focal point of the offense, but still, they do need Luther Burden to be out there and to make a big impact in year 2. I have 2 more guys to discuss here with injuries. Another Bears player dealing with an injury. We'll get to that to close out today's episode of the Locked On NFL Big Board. Locked On NFL Big Board is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with daily dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. If you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every day throughout the MLB season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. There are certain players where every at-bat feels like something big could happen. That's what makes Daily Dingers fun. You get to back the player you think is ready to go deep that day. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play Daily Dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of the MLB. Coming in at number 7 for most concerning offensive injuries going around the NFL, it's another Bears player. It's their Running back Kyle Monangai, second-year running back. He's going to be out for multiple weeks with a hyperextended right knee that he suffered in practice on Sunday. His week 1 availability is currently up in the air. And this might not seem like too big of a deal because he's not the Bears starting running back, right? DeAndre Swift is. He's still expected to be the starter. He led the Bears with 1,087 rushing yards last year. He had 9 rushing touchdowns, nearly 1,400 scrimmage yards. But Kyle Monangai was a big part of making this offense perform well and tick and get down the field and move the ball. The Bears averaged 144.5 rushing yards per game last year. That was 3rd most in the NFL. Their efficiency was fantastic, averaging 4.9 yards per carry on the ground last year, 3rd most in the NFL. The team had 67 carries that they gained at least 10 yards last year. Again, 3rd most in the NFL. And that wasn't all DeAndre Swift. Kyle Monangai put up a lot of production as a 7th-round rookie last year. He had 783 rushing yards, 947 scrimmage yards, and 5 touchdowns as a rookie. That was the most rush yards by any player to not lead their team in rushing yards last year. And both Swift and Kyle Monangai each ranked top 3 in percentage of rushing attempts that went for at least 5 yards last season. Top 4, Kyren Williams ranked number 1 at 43% of his carries going for at least 5 yards gain. Monangai was 2nd at 42.6%. DeAndre Swift was 3rd at 42.6% as well. So basically tied to Monangai. And then James Cook at 42.1% came in at 4th. These two were highly efficient playing together. I don't think they want to just lean on DeAndre Swift, who's also had some injury concerns throughout his career. They were their best selves when both DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai were balling out, and they could just use them back and forth, and really tire down defenses. The Bears, this is a bigger injury than maybe people want to let up. But hopefully Monangai can get good to go before week 1 and that he doesn't deal with any other injuries and they can both be healthy. And this rushing offense will really excel. And that's what they need as well for Caleb Williams to continue to grow, to continue to be more consistent and, limit those bad, stupid decisions that he can make in games, especially in quarters 1 through 3 before he becomes a superhero in quarter 4. For my last injury I'll discuss today, Breece Hall suffered a groin injury on Monday's practice for the Jets. Aaron Glenn says he's expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks, but he says he'll be ready for week 1. I mean, this team needs Breece Hall, right? Like, I do think their backups are pretty solid in Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, but Breece Hall, they paid him. They paid him 3 years, $43.5 million back in May, gave him that extension despite he's probably not going to fix their record all too much. So that was confusing. They let a lot of guys go. They signed a bunch of old guys and then signed a running back to a big extension. All of that seems crazy to me. But now that they did that, he better be out there and playing. Hall posted his first 1,000 rushing yard season. And last year, the Jets did have some of the fewest running back rushing attempts in the league because Braylon Allen was hurt and they lean on Breece Hall a lot. But I do think if they can lean on Hall, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis, get this running game going, especially around the end zone where they really struggled as of late. And Geno Smith can give some good targets to Garrett Wilson and Omar Cooper Jr. and Kenyon Sadiq. There's a little hope here that this offense could be adequate and not a disaster like it's been for nearly a decade now. That's just seeing some improvement here until they can get a real quarterback in. But Breece Hall coming off this extension, it's important that the Jets have him out there and fully healthy to start the season. All right, that will be it for today's episode. Please like, subscribe, leave a review, share this show with everyone you know to help me grow. It will mean so much, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Big Board your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Scouting as preseason games are underway and so many moves are being made around the league. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this offseason. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'll be back with you tomorrow. Enjoy your night, everybody. Bye, y'all.